had some quirkiness to them. Guys like that, like John Daly, obviously speaks for himself. Like guys that are more than just amazing golfers. Like there's not a whole lot much to Scotty Scheffler. I do think the Chili's-esque menu is very relatable to a lot of people because, like, yeah, I like fast casual dining. Sure, I'd eat that too. I feel like that'd be kind of what my master's dinner would probably look like if I won the thing.
He's like what Paul Skeens is to the MLB.
Yeah.
Paul Skeens is much more of a boring person. Like, I think Scotty is interesting in the sense that, like, he's just a great golfer and he seems like a good dude. And then the whole getting arrested thing at
that did make things a little more interesting.
Where was that? At Valhalla?
Yeah, it was at Louisville. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was insane. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing this get going here. I don't even know who I would really pick to win this thing. I'm not sure who the favorite would be.
I'm pretty sure he's the odds-on favorite.
Yeah,
right
I mean, Scotty's going to be the odds-on favorite considering he's the defending champ. But
right.
I mean, what's a guy like Rory McIlroy going to do? You know, he's one win away from a Grand Slam, which this feels like the Achilles heel that he just cannot get over.
That is the interesting thing about golf in general, but particularly the Masters, because yeah, you can be the greatest golfer in the world over the course of a year, but you can have an off weekend, and somebody else can be firing on all cylinders, play a perfect couple of rounds, and end up winning the thing. And sometimes you will have those names that jump up out of nowhere and win the Masters, and then don't do a whole lot after that. Or you have kind of the usual suspects. I know that Rory McIlroy is still chasing his first, but those guys being in contention at the end, kind of the who's who of golf, which wouldn't be surprising on Sunday either.
Does it feel weird that Tiger Woods is not going to be there this weekend?
No, because it's not the first time. I mean,
that's true.
He's come and gone. Obviously, he brings a lot of eyes and attention.
Yeah.
And look, again, with the injuries at this point in his career, we know he's not going to be in contention to win. But him just being there, and he could be fighting for the cut line, and you'd still have the vast majority of people hoarding around whatever hole he's on.
Yeah.
Just because he's Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Again, I don't think a return to glory is going to be in the cards for him at this point in his life ever again in terms of winning the Masters, much less winning a major. But, look, what he did back in, as I'm looking at the photo here right across, I'm assuming that's from 2019 Augusta. That was seriously one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
That literally could be from a lot of
ones.
He's wearing the Sunday red. He doesn't really age all that much. Like that could be. If you told me that was from 2004, I would believe you as well.
One guy, and he's on screen here right now from Live at the Masters,
looking yoked.
I would like to see Bryson DeChambeau win. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. But like, if there's one guy I am hoping to see win, it would be Bryson. Like, I like. If you like a guy. Brings the character that you need.
Yeah,
like I like what he does with like the whole social media YouTube thing. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this thing getting underway finally tomorrow. Have you ever been to Augusta?
I have not. So did I ever tell you the funny story about being in the vicinity of Augusta National?
No,
I'm from Georgia. I've been to Augusta many times in my life. This was February of 2020. I was out there. It wasn't really a job interview. I was meeting with some people that I was maybe interested in doing some stuff with at a radio station out there on it was a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. Augusta's about an hour from where I grew up. So I drove out there, did the meeting, did the interview, whatever. And I had some time to kill afterwards. I'm like, you know what? All these times I've been to Augusta, I've never been to the golf course. I just wanted to go near it, just see where it was, obviously. And, watching the Masters all those years, I just had this vision in my mind of driving up like this long scenic drive with nice trees and mansions and magnolias and everything on either side of the road. And I punched the golf course in the GPS on my phone, and I'm driving. I forget the name of the road, that main highway there just off of I-20. But I'm driving, and there's the Olive Garden, and there's Taco Bell, and there's a Food Lion or something like that, and it says, "Boom, you're here." And I look, and they have the like blackout things on the gate. It's like that's one entrance. It's not the main entrance, but one of the entrances to Augusta National. And you obviously can't get in because again, it's Augusta National. But like I pull into this like parking lot across the street. It's some like hand-me-down bookstore or something like that. And I just kind of sat there for a moment. I'm like, wow, the most pristine golf course in the entire world, like the height of sports beauty, is sitting across the street from a strip mall. Like, how funny is that? You know what I mean? And I get it, when you're in like the clubhouse and stuff like that, that's obviously a nicer area on the other side. But where I was literally backed up to like a Taco Bell and a strip mall.
Oh yeah, I did the same thing. I want to say about 3 years ago. I was driving back from some trip somewhere. I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we're driving. I'm like, you know what? On our way back, maybe it was like from Florida or something. Let's stop in Augusta. Just see this.
Sure.
See the same idea as you.
Exactly.
We pull up, and you can't even get anywhere close to the main.
You can
area.
see the water tower.
You can see the water tower. You can. I think we were actually able to see the main white building.
Okay.
Going down Magnolia Lane. But it's like it's all fenced off in front of it. It's like it's insane. But then last year, going to the Masters for the first time, I mean, it's insane. It's the most incredible experience you'll ever have. It's unfortunate how prestigious it is, which rightfully so, and how hard it is to get there. But you got to have connections. That's the main thing. It's so hard.
I love. I know a fair amount of people that are in the ticket lottery, and the reactions that because you have to post it, right?
Yeah.
If you get in or don't get in, you're either the happiest person in the world or the saddest person in the world. See that? Hey, you're in for the Masters, or oops, sorry, you didn't get in this time. Whenever those get sent out. But yeah, that's still on my list of places to go. And again, you don't even have to be a golf fanatic to appreciate what the Masters is, what Augusta National is, and enjoy this event that is held so true to tradition. Right. And yes. I love the fact that you can't bring your phone in.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like if you want to call someone, you got to go to the payphone, and the concessions are, only a couple of bucks. And, it's really kind of a place where you can truly escape the world around you for however long you're out there, a day, for the weekend, whatever it may be. And they've never strayed away from that. And I do appreciate that.
No, it's seriously, if you can ever get out there, it's one of the best experiences you will ever have in your life. It's awesome, man. I wish I could get back out there this year, but it's definitely a thing you gotta do at least once in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully one day with the connections at the radio station, maybe we can work our way out there one day and I don't know, be broadcasting from somewhere out there for the weekend. Even if it's in the parking lot, I'll take it.
Yes, something out there. Let's get 107.5 The Game some credentials. I know. You have to have like long-standing credential connections and all that.
Well, Shane goes. We can just be like, "Hey, Shane, let us go. We'll tag along with you."
Exactly. Just follow along with Shane Beamer. Get the headsets.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah. How many college football coaches do you think are going to be out there this weekend? Well, I mean, maybe
a lot.
Because I guess it depends on if you're still having spring practice. Though, like Beamer has the ability. It's an hour away. Yeah, like he can get there pretty quickly.
Not everyone can get there super quick, I would say, but if enough of them are into golf, I would say it's very much possible. Like I would be surprised if who do you think wouldn't go? If you had to pick one coach.
Ooh, SEC coaches that wouldn't go to the Masters.
Like yes, SEC coaches that would not go to the Masters.
Actually a really good question.
I'm trying to think like who's like the most like.
For some reason, I feel like Josh Heupel doesn't like golf.
Yeah.
I can't explain why. I just feel like he fits that vibe of a guy that doesn't enjoy golf.
I agree.
And maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'm just going off of my feel here.
I wonder if, and this is without knowing anything really about him, but Mike Elko. I mean, what about he doesn't strike me as the guy that like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but. Texas A&M. I don't know if you've ever been to A&M. They have a golf course literally right on their campus.
Okay.
So it's phenomenal looking out there. But so maybe he gets a round in or two, but like I don't know. I mean, it's also think about it, he's also in College Station. That's so far away from Augusta.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know.
Because I feel like. It seems like it's almost kind of a cliche for college football coaches to enjoy golf. I mean, Beamer does birdies with Beamer every single year. There's the big, I think it's about all the SC coaches go out to Reynolds out at Lake Oconee every single year and do that golf event.
Yeah. And I think what's his face, Kirby. He's right out there,
Oh
right?
yeah, he's out there all the time.
I'm sure. Yeah, So I don't know.
In fact, Bert Beamer plays with Kirby sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember last year going, and I think Shane was probably there like the next day or two. But you would think you'd see like more like famous people and stuff. I mean, I saw the people from Dude Perfect and stuff, but that was like the only celebrities I think I saw. So yeah, it's but I'm sure most of the coaches probably go.
Yeah, should be a fun weekend out there at Augusta National. Obviously, talk about plenty of that while we're out here hanging out at ProSwing for the next 2 days. But we got so excited with the golf talk, we forgot the most important thing at 9 o'clock, Jack. And that, Dave, hit it for me, is of course our 9 a.m. Sandstorm pick me up. One sec. Okay. Magic of live radio. I didn't queue him up for it, so that's my fault. Again, we got so excited talking about the golf. There it is.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm. Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. Again, we're broadcasting live here at ProSwing here in Forest Acres. Come on, hang out with us. It's going to be out here all day long today and tomorrow. We're going to be talking plenty of Masters and plenty of Gamecocks as well. And in case you didn't hear, if you come play at ProSwing this week, you could be entered for a chance to win tickets to go to the final round of the Masters coming up on Sunday. We're going to announce that winner on Friday afternoon during the postgame show with Jay and Elijah. So again, get out here and you might find yourself at Augusta National come Sunday. It's really that simple. Again, Tyler and Jack, Extra Point here at ProSwing in Forest Acres, going until noon here in the game. That's such a long...
Everyone knows that AAA Heating and Air has the best HVAC replacement options in the Midlands with their guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. They're hard to beat when you need a new system. But did you know they also have great deals for repairs? That's right. If your system is broken and you're strapped for cash, AAA Heating and Air can help. They'll get your repairs done with payment options for up to 12 months and no credit check required. If you are the homeowner, all you need is a valid bank account. That's it. So don't wait. Call AAA Heating and Air today and get your comfort back on track. AAA Heating and Air, comfort you can trust.
Other side. You should be able to pull that around. There you go. Will it do it?
Hold on. Do I need to turn this?
I think there you go. There it is. There it is.
I didn't even know it did that. Dave, can you hear me? Awesome. That's good.
Why would it not work the other way? I mean, the mic is still in front of your face regardless. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I never thought about that, but sure. Let's see. Can we come back with cut number 14, please? Yep. Yep. Well, you know, it's funny. I was actually gonna do the promo yesterday, and I skipped over it because I was like, I haven't hit a grand slam in a while. But lo and behold. Also, when we talk about the Beamer stuff, we don't really have to dive into the rant thing. We just kind of mention it.
Yeah,
I mean, and we haven't like said it was Jordan on the shows or anything like. Again, if you can Google and figure it out. Yeah, we all know it was, but we haven't like called him out or anything like that. No. Well, and Shane has a consistent problem with the state in general, so I feel like that didn't help either.
And he hits this one hard to deep left center field. Drifting back is Newman. Forget about it. Grand slam. Dalton Mayshore. He unloads on the pitch to bring home Petrie and carry on and Hollins. And now finally coming to the dish, Dalton Mayshore's first home run as a Gamecock. A grand slam in the first inning.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri. We are live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres, hanging out today and tomorrow, getting you set for Masters weekend out in Augusta. Of course, baseball season in full swing right now, and that was called last night early in the game as Dalton Mayshore, his first home run as a Gamecock, as he returns to the lineup. Cranks a grand slam in the first inning, and we gave away $450 earlier on this morning on the early game, thanks to our friends over at Palmetto Citizens with Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway, which now resets, and there'll be $25 up for grabs tomorrow night in game number 1 against Texas A&M, and $25 out of the pot each and every game until they hit another Grand Slam. Again, we've already given away a couple this year. That kind of set the tone for the night. Carolina ends up walking away with a 13-3 victory. I told you before we started here, I was actually kind of mad that Upstate got the third run in the top of the 7th, because I was like, let's get this thing over with. It's a 12-2 game entering the top of the 7th. All they got to do is get 3 outs, and we can all be done with this and go to bed, go home, whatever it may be. And they got the one extra run, and then Jordan Gaskin, lo and behold, hits what didn't look like a home run off the bat.
No.
That just kept going and cleared the right field wall.
Yeah, no, it was a that was a long game last night, man. Like it just by the 5th inning, it's like I think the game started at 6:30, and it's like 8:30, or 8 o'clock, and I'm like, what is taking so long?
Yeah.
Like, let's get this game moving, man. If that were a full 9 last night, like, I don't think I left until like 11 because I had an additional story that I didn't think I'd be writing right after the game that we can get into the injuries and whatnot. But
Sure.
yeah, man, it was a long game last night. It's good to see them win. It's not gonna change anything. It's a midweek win. Who cares?
It's better than them losing.
It's better than them losing. Here's the thing about South Carolina: they don't lose the games they're supposed to win. Right? They're
Sure.
they're 18-4 in non-SEC games now. They've only lost one midweek game. It's just these SEC games, man. They keep losing. So if they can find a way to win these games, they'll be all right. But man, it's a good win last night. Caden Gaskin hitting that. Do you consider that a walk-off? Because like in my initial story, I put like parentheses or quotes around it. And then after the game, I'm like, all right, I'll go back in and edit the story. I took out the quotes. So I'm like, it's just a walk-off.
Yeah. Bill Preston and I had that debate earlier on this morning. It ended the game. So, I mean, you are walking off the field as a result of what he did. It doesn't match the aesthetic of most walk-offs where it's intensity and drama because you're either breaking the tie or you're putting yourself over the team that's ahead of you in runs. So it's a little different. What was the other run roll game they had a couple weeks ago where it wasn't a home run? Somebody had a walk-off RBI.
Would it have been PC?
That's right. It was the PC game.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there for that one, but like, what, they drop a pop-up in the
that's what it
infield?
was. So
it was
that
something
was technically a walk-off, but it didn't feel like a walk-off, I guess is the best way to put it.
In my book, a walk-off is supposed to be 9 innings or more, but hey, they won in 7.
Yeah,
so
and again, it's better than us coming here and saying, well, I can't believe they lost USC Upstate. You got to go out there and win against A&M on the road. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And honestly, a sweep would do you wonders because that's 3 wins, which you have 2 of them right now.
Yeah.
So you'd be eclipsing your win total in the conference by more than double at that point because you need every win you can get. Well, we talked about it the other day. You got 18 more conference games left. Realistically, and this year, because the tournament's expanding, everybody gets to go. So you're not going to get left out of Hoover. But if you want to make the postseason, like the NCAA tournament, you're going to have to win somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 games, which means you're going to have to win 12 or 13 of your next 18, which I don't see happening. But if you want a pathway, there it is.
Here's the simplest way to do it. So with 18 games to go, you want to get, so you mentioned 15 wins. I don't even think you need to get that much.
Or in around 15.
I'll tell you what, you need to get to 13 for sure. Actually, honestly, go with 12.
Okay.
Because if you go 11-7 over these final 18 games of SEC play, you don't lose another midweek game, don't lose a midweek game, you would have 13 conference wins, and assumedly you would have a top 30 RPI in the sport.
The strength of the conference would help you.
Yes. So here's a good stat. No SEC team has ever been left out of the tournament when they have those 2 things going for them.
Okay.
South Carolina last year, they went 13-17 in league play. They were still good enough to where they had enough conference wins and enough quality of a schedule with their RPI to make the tournament as a 2 seed.
Right.
This South Carolina team, 11-7 it's possible because it's baseball and you never know what can happen. You can get hot and you win 3 games this weekend. You're halfway there already. Heck, you could even go 9-9 in these final 18. You just really need to go on a little bit of a run in Hoover. But again, we're talking so many hypotheticals here. I don't even see this team winning a game this weekend, quite frankly, just because even when they looked good last night, they still didn't look good. The hitting was slumping in the middle innings and stuff, and it took a 6-run 6th inning to kind of get the run rule in effect there. So
yeah, it was really kind of 2 burst innings that you had last night.
Yeah, and then A&M, I would have said South Carolina could win this series this weekend, number 1, if South Carolina had taken the series at Mississippi State, but that didn't happen. We also have to talk about A&M. Oh my gosh! I mean, can we talk about the upset of the year?
They're heating up, but
they're not heating up because it's 2 games.
Is it an upset considering the fact they were the preseason number 1 for a team that just played for a national championship? They did not start off conference play the way they wanted it to. They finally seem to have found their groove.
Considering how bad they've been, though, And considering how hard it is to go to Tennessee and win, just ask South Carolina. They know all about losing at Tennessee.
That's true.
It is so hard to, and they got no hit and run rule the day before on Friday in game 1. And then they went out there, backs up against the wall, and swept a doubleheader against the number 1 team in the country. I think that qualifies as an upset, man. That's insane.
I won't knock them for it. Maybe they used up all the runs this past weekend, and Carolina can catch them slipping coming up tomorrow, or starting tomorrow. Which, a reminder, it is a Thursday through Saturday series, which those in the late season tend to be those. So be on the lookout for game number 1 coming up tomorrow and wrapping up the series on Saturday. You'll be on a flight about this time tomorrow to College Station.
Yeah, I don't even. To be honest, I'm not even going to be on radio tomorrow because
we'll work some magic.
Hate to break that news to you, but because I'll be in the air. But you know, we have a plan.
We have ways. We have ways. Don't worry about it.
There's always a plan.
We will get a good preview for the A&M series. Do not worry about that.
Yeah.
Because Jack will be on his way out. The first trip to College Station, right?
So this will be I want to say it's like my 4th trip to A&M now, because I went as a fan a few years ago when Jason Brown was the quarterback.
Yes.
So year 1 of the Beamer era. That was
Doesn't
my first
feel
time.
Like an eternity ago?
Feels like ages ago, man. And then we got last year went to A&M covering a game for the first time. Very cool press box, nice time. But this is my first time out there for baseball though. So I'm looking forward to I've seen the ballpark before in passing going to football. It's a nice venue. It's right literally in center field. You could see Kyle Field.
Sure.
It's so awesome, man. So I'm looking forward to it.
Quickly, as we wrap up this segment here, news last night from Paul Maneri. He did confirm that Talmadge LeCroy has been lost for the season.
Yeah, that's unfortunate news. He's been dealing with a slew of injuries all year, and it's a hip injury that's bugged him. And so he's out for the year, most likely. Maneri did not say 100%, but it's probably going to be that way. Now, he could medical redshirt. Yep. He has played in 17 games this year, which is under the 18-game threshold. So it'll be kind of up to Tal if he wants to come back next year or not. We'll see if he wants to. He's set to graduate this summer, but that is going to be a big loss for South Carolina. And it stinks because he had such a great preseason, and in the fall, he was probably like one of the best players on the team. It's just he never really got going this year, and then he got hurt, and so he's down for the year.
So another knock on what's been a tough slate of SEC games for South Carolina, with LeCroy being out for the remainder of the season to figure out what they're going to do at catcher going forward. We'll continue on out here from ProSwing in Forest Acres, dive into a little bit of what Coach Beamer had to say yesterday when talking to the media as we get close to the end of spring practice. This is the X Point, Tyler and Jack at ProSwing here in Forest Acres, going until noon here on the game. Tyler Head here once again telling you about our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. I tell you about it all the time, but I'll remind you once more, you always, always, always need to be on the lookout for odd things happening around your home. Things like cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in walls or above windows and door frames, doors and windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you notice any of these problems around your home, you could have serious foundation issues. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialists come in. Go online to schedule an appointment at cantycanfixit.com. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate your foundation issues and get them fixed right so you and your family can live without worry going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com and make sure your foundation is in good order with our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. And welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres, hanging out all day long. Of course, Masters going on all week and into the weekend out there in Augusta. As you see, who's going to be taking home the green jacket coming up on Sunday, and you can come hang out with us here and test your golf game. If you can't be at Augusta National, there's no better place to be than here at ProSwing, because you can play at literally any course in the world. A guy, Dreamy Josh, where are we playing at, Josh? Pebble Beach. Okay.
Ooh.
He's taking on Pebble Beach right now, and we'll keep an eye and see how he does, see if he can keep the ball out of the water. As, again, you got the option to play anywhere and improve your golf game before you, I don't know, maybe get your own shot at Augusta National one day if you're lucky enough.
Yes.
Which, again, that's a little easier said than done, but never say never.
Yep.
Yesterday, Coach Beamer spoke to the media, as he does on Tuesdays during the spring practice. We obviously have to address the fact that he went on a little bit of a rant in reference to some reporting being done out there by some outlets in reference to what they perceive to be depth charts, which weren't. You guys obviously get to go out of practice. There'd not been any 11 on 11s, as Beamer alluded to, and he did not like what was written, which I can understand.
I get it.
I do think, and Terry and I were talking about this yesterday, I believe there's also a level of protection for players there too, because the portal is about to open up here in a couple of days. And if I'm a player and I hear that maybe I'm third on a depth chart that, again, isn't out there as of right now, but if it's perceived that I'm there, then I might think of going in the portal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I don't see my pathway to playing here. So I understand it. Well, again, we won't dive into specifics of it, but I do have to ask, being in the room when he's going like that, what is that like?
Man, it's nothing new at this point. I remember the first time I heard a Beamer rant in person. I was at Georgia, 2021, I think. It was his first year, like third.
Yep.
It was like third game of the year. I can't even try to remember. Yeah, it was because at this point we were still doing Zoom press conferences.
Yep.
So, and I remember him going off on I think it was like Ben Portnoy from the State at the time, and shout out Ben, good dude. But he asked something about, I can't even remember, but Shane complaining about how Georgia's got 5 stars and stuff. And
yeah,
that was his first time I heard the rant from him. And then, of course, gets asked the next year, did your players quit against Georgia when they got embarrassed at home? So, I mean, I've heard this stuff all the time now. And, him last year at Vanderbilt, basically going off on the State for an article they wrote from last year, like 2 years ago now. So it's nothing new.
I liken it to like when you're over at a friend's house and their dad starts yelling at them and you don't really know like what to do. And you're just like, do I leave? Do I stay? Like, it's just, it's an odd feeling, I guess.
I just sat there yesterday and I'm just like minding my own business, doing updates. And I'm just like, oh, dang, here we go again, man.
Yeah.
It's like, and then having to transcribe because I transcribe all the Beamer press conferences. This one took me like, I mean, dude, it's a book with how he was going off. So he got on his soapbox, he got out everything he wanted off his chest, and that was that.
Yeah, and again, you've probably heard it at this point, and again, we won't dive too many specifics of that, but in relation to the transfer portal, excuse me, with it opening soon, as we're getting towards the end of spring practice, of course, Coach Beamer and his staff are going to meet with these guys individually about where they stand and tell them what's up after spring practice, where they see them projecting out when it comes to fall, not putting out a depth chart, but again, giving them an idea of where they stand. Cut number 12 here, Dave. This is Coach Beamer talking yesterday about being honest with those guys when it comes to these post-spring meetings.
Yeah. I think I know I'll be like I always have. I've tried to always be transparent with our players after spring practice about where they stand. And this year will be no different, letting guys know, where they stand. And there's every player on our team I would love to have back, but there's some guys that may look and say right now, coming out of spring, there's a lot of guys above me on the depth chart, and it's a uphill battle, and they want a fresh start somewhere else where they can play. I mean, that's great. That's happened in the past, and I'll help guys go wherever, from that standpoint. But I wouldn't say it changes my conversations with them in any way. It's continuing to just be transparent and honest with guys, and there should be no gray area about where they stand and why they're in that role right now either.
And through the spring already, we already had Wendell Gregory jump into the portal last week. So you already have one guy that's departing with this new portal window. And let's be real, in today's world of college football, if 2, 3, 4 guys jumped in the next couple of weeks after spring practice is over, that's not shocking. That's kind of how these things go, and every team deals with it. You just hope that it continues to be those healthy transfers that Wes, the phrase that Wes has coined at this point in time, where you say, okay, yeah, that hurts from a depth standpoint, but that wasn't somebody that had already given us high-level production or somebody we thought was going to be a high-level producer at South Carolina. And, knock on wood, last offseason, they did pretty good with that, save for Juice Wells, in terms of productive guys leaving. And knock on wood again, so far this offseason, it's been the case.
Yeah, look, guys want to play. I understand it. Like, I understand why they transfer. And, like with the whole situation that Beamer ranting about yesterday, like if a guy does happen to see what is written out there and they see like, oh man, this thing's saying I'm on the 3rd team. Social media has gotten to the point, and storytelling, I guess, too, that people will believe just about anything. And so if they see something with their name in it and they're like, oh man, like I'm 3rd team this, like that's going to cause some issues. And so I understand why Beamer was mad about it, though. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with the portal here of like, you're going to have to like have those honest conversations like, hey, like you may not play here.
Sure.
So go look for an opportunity elsewhere, go get better. And then maybe, you always could come back, like that's the good thing about Shane and his staff is that, like, again, Gil Bradman coming back last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that could have been a situation where he wouldn't have been welcomed back or whatever. But South Carolina has been relatively good at letting guys come home when they either know that maybe they left, that was a big mistake leaving, or they just needed an opportunity elsewhere to get some playing time before coming back. So hopefully they don't lose anyone significant. I don't think they will, but again, you never really know.
Yeah, and I mean, would Juice Wells be the only guy you think would qualify in terms of like burning a bridge with leaving and the stuff that he said after he left and all that kind of stuff? Because even the guys that have transferred out in the past couple of years, I don't feel like many of them have trashed what Carolina was, or and Juice's thing was I want to play for a winning program, and I'm not saying I condone what he did, but he was looking at a redshirt freshman quarterback that had never started and what was going to be a pivotal year for him in terms of trying to get himself back on people's draft radars. And he said, okay, I can go play for Woodland or Sellers, or I can go play with Jackson Dart. He chose Jackson Dart. And did it work out the way that he wanted to? Probably not. But that was probably his reasoning behind why he did it.
I don't blame him at the time for wanting to go play with Jackson Dart. It's the way he handled it that was the issue.
Yeah.
And so I think if South Carolina ever in 10, 15, 20, however many years, if they ever do some sort of celebration for what this team did 2 years ago in those last 2 games of the year, I do not believe Juice will be getting I don't even know if he'll be there. I don't know if he would ever be getting a nice hand from the crowd. I've also never seen this at the college level. It feels like a pro thing that happened last year where he gets booed for in his return to Willie B.
Man, and they were every time the ball came near him, he was getting booed. And I forget who knocked the ball. Was it?
I think it was Kilgore. It was either Kilgore.
It was DQ. I think
it was DQ. And
they forced the fumble as he was going in to score a touchdown.
Oh, that was the most poetic thing to happen, man. And Juice, I mean, look, that's a whole separate thing, man. But like that, you just don't want to be like that when you leave. Like, don't be like that, because I don't know what he was thinking with half the things he does. So again, I don't think South Carolina is going to be having major losses in the portal. What you hope, and kind of like last year, they have major gains in the portal.
That'd be nice,
because what they got in the portal in the spring, they can find some good pieces out there.
Yeah, Beamer discussed maybe getting some more depth along your defensive line. Again, you did just lose an edge guy in Wendell Gregory that you can potentially supplement there. And I know maybe it's not number one priority, but if you went out and got a wide receiver, nobody would be upset about that.
No, I don't think so. And I think, me personally, I'd rather just see them ride it out with the guys they have. But if a guy is like Shane says, if there's someone out there that can make this team better and they are a good fit, go get them. Doesn't matter what position they are. they can help you.
We'll see what happens with that as, again, spring practice wrapping up the end of next week with the spring game. So we talked about baseball earlier on in the hour, and it's not been a great season for Carolina, but at least we're not the two programs that played each other yesterday at the Division III level. We'll tell you about that coming up next. Extra Point, Tyler Head, and Jack Beltry out of ProSwing and Forest Acres going until noon here in the game. Back in, Extra Point. Tyler Ed and Jack Beltry out at ProSwing here in Forest Acres. Again, hanging out all day long. Come by and hang out with us. And again, you might win yourself some Masters tickets in the process of doing that. That'd be pretty cool. Wrapping up the hour here, what's the worst sports team you've ever played on, like in your entire life?
I remember this is actually like a seriously bad team. I remember I was like 14 years old. It was like my last year of like, I guess Little League, if you want to call it that, but it was like the 13U at the time in Little League. So, like the 50, 70, whatever the mound distance is. I was on an all-star team that got converted into a travel ball team.
Okay.
We were called the Tomcats. We were abysmal. I don't think we ever won a game.
This was an all-star team.
This was an all-star team moving into travel ball. With travel ball is much different from an all-star league. We did pretty well. We did pretty well in all-stars, but travel, man, we had like 4 or 5 tournaments, 4 games each weekend. We did not win a single game.
Jeez.
So we were absolutely abysmal, man.
That's brutal.
That was the worst summer having to be on that. So it was rough.
I want to say it was my 6th grade year playing on the Mets.
You're on the New York Mets?
Yeah, I was on the New York Mets, and we weren't much better than the Mets had been in the years prior to them just getting a boatload of money. But we were really bad, and our coach, I don't think he knew a lot about baseball, which was the bad thing, because that was the team that I pitched that year. It's my first year pitching, and I wasn't a dynamic pitcher by any means. And in the last game of the year, we had like a 4-run lead. And he lets his grandson, who had not pitched all season, come in, first of all, below the lead, tie game, load the bases, and then brings me in to save it. Loaded bases, no outs, and no lead to work with. And like I give up 1 hit and the game's over. And again, I was upset because I thought I blew it. I didn't fully understand the context at the time. But yeah, that coach didn't know baseball too well. We were the worst team in the league. I remember because we played the Nationals, who were also like really, really bad, and we tied with them. And they had to call the game because neither one of us could score another run, and there's another game that had to play after us. That was a bad team. My dad specifically told that coach to never draft me for his team again. That's how bad it was, and that coach ended up getting banned for life from our recreation complex not long after that for an incident that occurred that next season.
So we've had some bad experiences.
We've had some bad experiences, but Lehman College and Yeshiva University up in New York, 2 Division III schools, went into yesterday's game on long losing streaks. Playing each other in a doubleheader, by the way. The Lehman Lightning had been on a 42-game losing skid, and the Yeshiva Maccabees had been on a 100-game losing skid. Yesterday they played each other. Something had to give. In game number 1, the Lightning win 7-6. To end their 42-game losing skid, which dated back to 2023, late May. And then Yeshiva wins game number 2 of the doubleheader to end their losing streak, which extended back to February of 2022. 3 years ago.
When I saw this, I sent this to you yesterday, and I'm like, what the absolute, like, what am I reading here? What am I watching? This was insane. And then you see, so there was a clip of when Yeshiva won. I think I sent it to you, and I'll play it here for you.
Yep.
You just see the catcher throwing down to first base, and it's like, okay, I see why this team is so bad. Like, it's just, it looks like, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess it's like, if you put a D1 team up against these guys.
Oh, my God.
Put South Carolina up against these guys. They're going to win like 30-0. But, like, And
here's the thing. Baseball is such a up and down sport. Even bad teams win games against good opponents. So the fact that these programs, in Yeshiva's case, Lehman's case 2 years, Yeshiva's case 3 years, have gone that long without managing to win a game is actually impressive. Like the White Sox last year, still won a handful of games. Not many, but they still find a way to win because that's just how baseball works.
Yeah.
So to go multiple years without winning games is next to impossible.
It's honestly impressive when you really think about it. Like, I don't know how they've done it. And again, they're at a D3 level. So I can't imagine the competition is like that fierce to where it's like they're just like so much worse than these teams. I don't know, man. I don't know how these schools have baseball programs considering how bad things have been. Like, who would ever want to go? But it's cool to see these two were pinned up against each other yesterday.
Oh, and you know what? There it is. It's on Get Up right now.
Of course. It's all over the place. Like ESPN was covering this. USA Today was covering it. Like,
are they playing it Fairleigh Dickinson Stadium.
Yeah, so they were playing at Fairleigh Dickinson. It was just, I've never seen anything like this before, and to see all the, I guess, students there and stuff, it's just, this was probably like the most insane thing to ever happen. Like, and it's good to see it was a doubleheader yesterday.
Yeah.
So both teams got to end their streaks.
The baseball gods smiled on both of them in the same day.
Yes.
I'm not betting on them to win too many more games this year. Just a hunch.
So look, if you're down about South Carolina losing right now, just remember it could be far worse. Far worse.
That'll do it for hour number 1. Coming up in hour number 2, Jalen Tartle jumping here with me. Also talk some racing with Jen Jensen as we are live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres, going up until noon here on the game. Tyler right here once again telling you about our friends over at Twin Peaks down in the Vista. It has already been a busy week over at Twin Peaks. Monday was National Beer Day. You also had the Men's Basketball National Championship. Yesterday was Customer Appreciation Day. Hope you made your way down there and got yourself some free boneless wings with the purchase of a signature 22-ounce draft soda or tea. And no more special days going on this week. But really, every day is a special day at Twin Peaks because they have everything you can imagine and so much more. Of course, TVs as far as the eye can see. With all the great sports action going on right now, you can catch every single game you can want, whether it's baseball, hockey, basketball, all going on those TVs. Tons and tons of delicious food. And of course, those 29-degree, they literally have a thermometer in there telling you how cold the beer is. 29-degree draft beers each and every day. All this and so much more with our friends at Twin Peaks down in the Vista. We good? And welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. We're broadcasting live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres, hanging out all day long today and tomorrow as we're getting you set for Masters out at Augusta National. See who's going to be taking on the green jacket come home, on Sunday. Scotty Scheffler, as expected, one of the favorites once again this year to back up his title from a year ago. And we'll dive back into his Masters Champions Dinner menu from last night and how it's very reminiscent of what you might find at your local Chili's, which I can relate to, and I think that's actually not a bad thing. This past weekend was a lot of fun out at the Darlington Raceway for Throwback Weekend. We were broadcasting out there on Friday. I got to be out there on Saturday and Sunday taking the races and see some cool stuff. And Jen Jensen joining me now on Love Chevrolet phone lines to talk some racing as she does each and every Wednesday. And as expected, as it always does, Darlington delivers another interesting, fun, and race that we can really look at from a lot of different angles from what happened on Sunday, Jen.
Man, is that not the truth? I mean, talk about highs and lows on all, and definitely everything in between. Poor Kyle Larson. Not often times for him, but yeah, we'll get into all of that.
It ends with Denny Hamlin winning the race, but if you only tuned in for the last handful of laps, that last restart, you wouldn't know that Hamlin kind of stole this one, right? Credit to his pit crew for getting him out first, and look, track position we knew was going to be vitally important. The difficulty passing at Darlington is certainly up there because it is about a 1.5 groove racetrack. His picker gets him out fast. They were doing a new thing with the jack and the way they were swinging it around the car that was helping him out a little bit, that I'm sure contributed to why the last pit stop was fast, and goes out there and is able to beat everyone on the restart, get out to a couple of car lengths, and be able to set sail from there. As Denny Hamlin, you blink, and now he's suddenly won 2 races.
And you feel bad for William Byron, who had dominated that race. I mean, my gosh, led 243 laps. And then you got Blaney, who really was doing great on the long run. His tires were holding out. And to see him be so dominant and just to kind of end up picking off, getting so close with Reddick, for Hamlin just to turn. And I really would have loved to see, Blaney end up getting that just because of him running the paint scheme of his dad. I think that would have been a really special thing to have in victory line. Yeah,
and going to William Byron there, he did lead the first 243 laps. Like, he led from lap 1 to lap 243 with only 50-ish laps to go. It was all William Byron. That 24 car was out in front lap after lap after lap. And look, obviously winning the race at the end of the day is the most important thing. Seeing someone lead every single lap is something that hasn't been done since 2000 with Jeff Burton at New Hampshire. I am a little confused with Rudy Fugle, William Byron's crew chief, and his thinking there in that last stage, because in stage number 1, Byron ran longer than everybody else, and the caution helped him out, which allowed everyone to pit because tires are so valuable at Darlington, to where he never had to surrender the lead. And then in the third stage, as it was Ryan Blaney, Bell was up there, they short pitted Byron. The idea by running long, like Byron was trying to do in stage 1 before the caution came out, is yes, you're going to give up track position initially, but you're going to have fresher tires at the end of the run. But you have to go a whole lot further into a run to make that work. And I can't remember the exact lap. I think it was only about 5 or 6 laps after Blaney and Bell and Reddick and all those guys pitted that Byron came in. I don't think that was enough time to where the difference in tires was really going to show up for Byron to be able to drive through the field late in the run.
No, I don't disagree with you on that. I mean, and he fully admitted his strategy is an important part, and they're finding that out more and more there at Darlington. But no, they really needed to have more time on their tires before he actually came in and pitted. So I do think that it was a crew chief mistake, and it bit him.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And again, to have a car that was on the pole and that fast in the early going when I was out in clean air to come up short. I know he still finished in the second spot by virtue of how he did on the restart there at the very end, but definitely one that they got away. And with him being kind of stuck back in the traffic a little bit, it opened the door to what we thought was going to be a pretty interesting battle there at the very end, if it ran green between Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney, and Blaney ran Reddick down. You mentioned it a moment ago from several car lengths back. I'm watching this from the infield, and I could not believe how he closed that gap so quickly. And unfortunately, Kyle Larson, for the second time that day, ends up going for a spin on the back straightaway and nosing into the infield wall, or the backstretch wall there, to bring out a caution, and then heck breaks loose on that final restart. But man, Blaney again is going to feel like that definitely should have been his, with the way he ran down Reddick on better tires and made the pass on him before the caution came out.
Yeah, 100%. I feel really bad for Blaney because, again, it really was his race to lose, which ended up being the case. And darn it with Hamlin, getting that, just sneaking in that win. Again, all credit to his pit crew. And I was fascinated to watch a little bit about what they were saying about how they are swinging the jack around and making up some time and stuff. So that's going to be something I think for sure others are going to be watching as well. But just a heartbreak for Blaney and really for Byron too. Either one of those really should have won that race.
Yeah, and that's the thing about racing is sometimes you can have the best car, sometimes you can have the best strategy, and a caution or something along those lines can derail that. And that's why you have to try and put together as perfect a day as possible to try and walk out of there with a victory. But that's just how it goes. By the way, for Larson, I'm noticing a trend here. These spring races are not treating well at Darlington in the next gen era. 22 he spun out, 23 he wrecked with Chastain. Last year he spun in turn 4, and then this year noses into the wall twice. For whatever reason, this spring date has not been kind to Kyle Larson.
No, it's really interesting how any top fives he's really had have always been in the fall. Like, go figure. Yeah. It's a crazy dynamic that it's almost like, is the pollen messing with him? Like, what is impacting him in these spring races?
I don't know. It was funny because I had to jet out as soon as the race was over. So I was sitting in my car as the last couple laps were happening, kind of watching the action. And right before that last restart, I see a golf cart go by, and it's Kyle Larson being taken to the care center after wrecking that final time. And he just looked like he had a day. You know what I mean? He was ready to get as far away from Darlington as he possibly could because he just did not have anywhere close to the day he wanted.
And for somebody who really is not terribly, doesn't usually show a lot of emotion one way or the other, see him that dejected, then that was probably a pretty good sign that he was done.
So, of course, this past weekend was also throwback weekend, and we saw a lot of cool paint schemes, and Kyle Larson was running the throwback Terry Labonte scheme. A Denny Hamlin won in a Carl Edwards throwback. A lot of cool stuff as we see each and every year, but there was a lot of debate this weekend on, have we taken this as far as we can go? And Dave, if you can, play cut number 24 for me here, because Chase Elliott in the media center on Saturday morning was posed the question about throwback weekend, and well, he in a sense of words said maybe we've kind of gone too far with it, and to kind of outlook.
I thought it lost it about 4 or 5 years ago, so I was way too early to that conversation, I think. But not to be a downer, but look, I joked about this before, years ago, but like, if we kept going down the road, we're going to be throwing it back to me in like 2018. So like, at some point, I think we got to chill on it a little bit. I think we've rode the horse to death, and we tend to do that a little bit too much.
And, that's a powerful statement coming from NASCAR's most popular driver. So that's going to carry a lot of weight, obviously, and it generated a lot of buzz. I specifically asked a couple drivers myself on Saturday their thoughts on it, and I don't think anybody outright agreed with what Chase Elliott said. And there are a lot of guys said, hey, no, I love it. Alex Bowman brought up a really good point saying, hey, especially at this level with how much money these sponsors are pouring in, it's tough to get them to alter their logos and stuff like that, the colors of their brand for a race, because it doesn't quite give them the same return on investment. And that's something like the Xfinity Series, we praised some of those throwbacks because these smaller sponsors, if anything, it gives them more exposure by changing what they're doing, changing their logos and stuff like that, as opposed to what they would get in a normal race. But, big corporations like WeatherTech and Ally and those kind of things don't kind of want to stray away from what they're doing, especially with the money that they're spending.
No, and especially those sponsors who they may not have been part of the race. Like, they may lean into it a little bit if they were part of the scheme years ago or something like that. But you're right, they're not going to change the brand colors and all of that. So it's a I agree. I think it's something you do it every couple of years, maybe, or you do an alumni thing, but you just really cannot. Um, I think it has had its time for a while.
And here's the thing, and I thought Brad Keselowski brought up a really good point, that I think we focus so much about what Throwback Weekend is based on the paint schemes. It's a lot more than that, and you've been out there. You've seen people wear old school gear and Bill Elliott T-shirts from the '80s or Dale Earnhardt stuff from the '90s, and people celebrate the history of the sport. And before the race on Sunday, Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick were driving old Wood Brothers cars around before the race. You know what I mean? Like, that was cool. Like, it's more than just the paint schemes. It's a true celebration of the sport. And I know Josh Harris takes a lot of pride in the fact that Darlington is the track that gets to do that every single year. And I personally don't want to see that go away. Can we kind of rethink the way we do the paint schemes and the throwbacks a little bit? Sure. But the weekend itself, the theme of the weekend itself, I think should stay for years and years to come.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. The celebration, and maybe make it an alumni weekend or something like that and celebrate it in that way. But not all cars even participated. So I think it is important to figure out what is that balance so that everybody feels like they're a part of it. You can still get the history lesson in there because there are newer fans all the time, and you want those newer fans. So it's kind of good to maybe let them see where the sport has come from, and also let the older folks or older generation celebrate as well.
Yeah. Maybe Chase, because look, let's be honest, his throwback was maybe kind of the worst executed of the teams that did participate, because they didn't really change things that much, and the colors even kind of seemed a little bit off from what he was trying to throw back to. So maybe he was just sour that his throwback wasn't good this year.
Well, that it could be, and all I could laugh was with Kyle Larson, with it being the Tony the Tiger, and his day was not great. So he may not be a fan of it either.
Yeah, that wasn't for the second year in a row, by the way, with Terry Labonte throwback that didn't end up going exactly the way he wanted it to go. And again, he seemed to be ready to get out of. He'll seem to be ready to get out of Darlington as fast as possible. And now we wait for September to roll around for the Southern 500, but a lot of fun racing between now and then. And we're off to Bristol this upcoming weekend, so hopefully for some more fun short track racing.
Yeah, I can't wait. I always love Bristol. I think it's a lot of fun, and nothing like racing in a cereal bowl. That is where Kyle Larson should have the Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate Josh Harrison, Darlington Raceway, as always, for allowing us to be out there, not only Friday, but for the entire weekend as well. And certainly enjoy that partnership that you have at the track. And very cool that we got to allow some fans to win some tickets and be out there as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad a lot of people could be out there this weekend.
Yep, very cool. And we'll break down Bristol coming up this time next week.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Tyler.
Jen Jensen from the Early Game talking NASCAR with me each and every Wednesday. We'll jump into some basketball coming up next. Jalen Tart jumping here with me as he does each and every Wednesday. Again, we're live out at ProSwing here in Forest Acres going up until noon on the game. Say something, Dave. Okay.
Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
Way too loud. All right.
Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Is that better?
9 10 11 12. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
That's
Okay,
good. All right. Welcome back in. Next point. Hanging out at ProSwing here in Forest Acres. Jalen's Hart jumping in with me as he does each and every Wednesday. Imagine this is your first time out here seeing this setup. What you think?
I think it's pretty cool. I've never seen indoor golfing, any type of style like this. It's pretty cool.
Are you a good golfer? What's your golf game like?
I do not golf.
Well, here's the cool thing. You can learn how to play here.
Wow.
And you can learn how to play on literally any course in the entire world.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome. Josh, are we still playing at Pebble Beach? Okay, they're trying to hit a hole-in-one at Pebble Beach right now. But, again, you have tons of options as see how Chris's drive goes. Going to come up a little bit short. Well, that's the thing. You don't have to chase your ball either.
That's cool.
It returns it back to you. It props it up on a little tee. Like, you can just stand there and play golf, play full 18 holes, and not have to move.
Yeah. April's been on a roll these past few weeks, man. It's just I'm not shocked that Carolina lost. I'm not shocked that Carolina lost. But with what they did the last 2 days after, it's a big things to come for Carolina. And they're not done yet.
Yeah. Dawn alluded to it right after the game on Sunday in her presser. Because look, we talked about this on Monday. Sometimes you run to a better team. That there's not a moment in the game or a series of plays where you can say, well, if Carolina did this better or that better in those moments, they would have won. No, they just ran into a better team.
Yeah.
UConn came in, took their lunch money, and that was it. And you move on to the offseason. But Dawn did say, hey, we're going to be active in the portal.
Yep.
You've obviously got a couple players departing, and you're going to need to shore up yourself in a few areas, and they did not waste any time doing that. First of all, Raven Johnson coming back, which is big and huge because she had the opportunity to do that because she did not get a whole lot of playing time in that in that freshman season. So she's coming back, which is great, and she's obviously been a very important part to what this team's done over the past couple of years. But in terms of if you could pick a perfect out of the park home run pickup in the transfer portal, I think Tanaya Lotson would be it.
Yes. A lot of it, I think she is the best overall player in the portal this season. A lot of people could argue that Olivia Miles is because of the way she impacts the game with her court vision. But in terms of scoring and performance, it's Tanaya Lotson. The fact that she gets most of her points in the paint and she's a consistent three-point shooter. She's a 39% three-point shooter. I mean, you adding a three-level scorer point guard to your to your front court. Great replacement for Tahina Pau. I'm interested to see now. My question to the offseason is who will get that starting spot that is vacant, because the starting five could potentially be Malaysia, Raven, Tanaya, Chloe, and Ashlyn.
Is Malaysia consistent enough yet
That's
to be
the
in the
thing.
starting five? That's the question.
Could we argue with Tessa?
And that's true. That too. Because with Malaysia, she can go out there and drop 25 points for you one night and then go out there and give you 6 the next.
And
you know what I mean? Which coming off the bench, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can work around that. But if you want to be in the starting five, and Dawn's talked about this, you got to be consistent. You can't be hit or miss. And again, her good is really, really good. You got to be consistent if you're going to be in that starting five.
And I'll say this too, for Raven to come back is huge because her shooting percentage was 35%. That to me isn't really acceptable to get to the next level. I think her coming back to get that number up, along with her, her points, she's only scoring 4.9 points per game, 4 rebounds a game. But her defense is the catalyst for her game. I think if she can figure out a way to get her scoring numbers to go up, her percentage to go up from 35% to at least 40%, that gives them a fighting chance to at least go back to the national championship, which they are predicted to go back to the national championship.
As they should be every single year.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what we talked about on Monday. Your program is in a really good place when your idea of a failure of a season is not winning the national championship. Because 99% of programs are just killed to go to the Final Four. And you do that every single year. So not winning the national championship, it's disappointing. But again, you're in a pretty good place if that's your level of disappointment.
And I'll say this too. I'm kind of interested to see how Adele Tack and Miriam Dowder are going to take this offseason in terms of coming back into the next full season, because clearly the fans want a big in the portal.
Sure.
From what I've been seeing the last few days, Del Rosario's on the move. Me personally, I think Del Rosario is going to the ACC because she's from the New York area and she wants to be closer to home. I think Syracuse will be a good option or elsewhere. But I would be shocked to see Adele Tack kind of see a big of a jump here. Not too much big of a jump, but we could see a more of a complete game with Adele now that they're going into this offseason, because now they don't have a true star big now that Fagan is gone. And you really only have Ashlyn Watkins. So you got to have some type of secondary big. So I'm looking to see Adele make a big stride here in the offseason.
And that's something they are also potentially portal shopping for.
Yes.
Can you go out there and land somebody else with size? And the unfortunate thing about women's basketball is, women 6'5" and up don't grow on trees like they do in the men's game.
No.
It's not hard in the men's game to go out there and find a 6'10" or 7-foot guy, because there's a lot of them out there. Women's game is a little different. Again, you were blessed with Camila Cardoso being 6'7" because she just towered over so many of the women on the court when she was here at Carolina. It's not as easy to go out there and find that again. Can you work with somebody a little bit shorter? Absolutely. But again, that lack of physical height did hurt South Carolina this year at times. And again, still really good at rebounding, but you think about how much better you could have been if you had that physical, just taller presence down low the entire year.
And I think what it was too, we didn't have, Camila Cardoso was a big, factor. A lot of teams were eyeing in on her. And now that we didn't have that much of a size, we still had a good post presence, but it wasn't really as efficient as it was with Camila Cardoso. At least for Carolina, they like to recruit 6'5" or up in terms of a true dominant big. Is what Don would always say. But I'm interested to see what they would get. We saw that Kylie Kitts is in the portal.
She is.
Interested to see where she goes. A lot of people are saying that she could potentially come to South Carolina, but I don't want to have to break anything because it's not anything confirmed.
Yeah.
I don't know where she would go.
So she has the do not contact tag on, which that means that she knows where she's going.
Yeah.
Again, your sister's playing here.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for you to get some playing time here if you do come. I don't think anybody would be shocked if she decided to come and the Kit sisters play together here at Carolina next year.
That would be something that would be interesting to see, is what is their chemistry like as siblings and as players on the floor? How would that look? Because Chloe, I believe, placed the 4, and Kylie placed the 3.
I think so.
Okay. So to see that will be something new and refreshing because, when Chloe leaves, we're still going to have one half of the kids still there. So it's good to see if she does potentially come to Carolina. But that will be something very interesting to see if she does indeed commit to Carolina.
What did their parents feed them as kids for them to grow to be
vegetables?
I guess
beans and carrots and broccoli and what you're supposed to eat.
Whatever it did, it worked because to have one daughter be over 6 foot tall is one thing. To have 2, do they have third sister I'm not aware of? Maybe they do. I don't know.
I think they do. But I did see Sakima enter the portal.
Yep, Sakima Walker in the portal.
I personally believe that she will go to Grand Canyon with Winston Gandy and be the star player with his program in his first year there.
There's a lot of indication that could certainly be the case, which makes sense. And again, everybody here loved Winston Gandy.
Yes.
And it would make sense as he goes in and takes over that, which is a good program. I mean, they made the tournament this year, but bringing in somebody like Sakima Walker, who could obviously get a lot more playing time at that level, would make a lot of sense if that is where she decides to go.
Yeah, and she's a veteran leader, her being with, with Carolina for 2 years. She could bring that championship experience and that leadership to those young core group of players. And potentially if Winston can get some people in the portal, they could be a good contending team in their league.
By the way, Sunday's national championship game, the 3rd most watched ever in women's basketball, drew an 8.5 million viewers on Sunday. Again, it pales in comparison to last year with Caitlin Clark, but you obviously had Carolina going for back-to-back. You had Beckers, you had Gino on the other side trying to win a national championship first time with Beckers, and the 12th time with Gino, first time in a decade. So a lot of storylines baked in, but it continues to show the evolution and growth of women's basketball being a sport that continues to rise in the ratings.
I think so too, and I think with the players that are now coming in and with the freshmen making their mark, we've seen the impact of what Sarah Strong and what Joyce Edwards could bring to a team. Now we're about to see a whole nother wave group of players coming in with Cena Betts coming in at UCLA. And then you have Jazzy Daniels, also coming in as well. There are going to be more storylines, but I think now the biggest storyline is what will be the mindset of Juju Watkins coming back.
Yeah.
Will she come back on time is the question.
And now that Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers are going to the league, I mean, I'd say Juju Watkins is probably the biggest star of the game going into next season that would potentially position herself to be in the national championship next year if she can stay healthy and things go right for Southern Cal.
Yeah, and a lot of the curious storyline too is UCLA's top class from freshman class, all of them transferred.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to look exactly like what we saw the Final Four team and what we saw last year. And I'm interested to see with the players that Avery Howell, star player from USC, she's transferred to Washington. So I'm interested to see what the Trojans are going to look like next year.
Talk more basketball on the other side. What were the ratings for the men's Final Four? We'll discuss that coming up next as broadcasting live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Tyler Head, Jalen Tartray out here until noon on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jalen Tart hanging out here at ProSwing in Forest on Forest Drive out here in Forest Acres. Hanging out until noon. This is the Schroeder's Towing Road Show. Gonna be here all day until 6 p.m. Same thing tomorrow as well, getting you set for the Masters. And if you come out and play at ProSwing this week, by the way, you could actually be going to the final round of the Masters on Sunday.
Wow.
By playing this week, you are entered for a chance to win a pair of tickets to be out there on Sunday for the final round. We're going to announce that winner coming up on Friday at 5:30 on the post-game show. So, again, get out here, and you can find yourself, out there at the 18th hole on Sunday at the Masters, seeing who's going to be taking home the green jacket. Like, how cool is that?
That would be cool. I've never been to the Masters,
Me
ever.
Either. It's on the bucket list.
Me too.
I mean, you don't even have to be a golf fanatic to appreciate the beauty of Augusta National and the importance of this event and the pristineness of it as well.
Yep.
So two lucky people that come and play here this week.
Yeah.
We'll get that opportunity to live the dream that a lot of us still have to go out there.
Come play, man. It will be a lot of fun, and hopefully whoever wins will experience, greatness this year.
We'll get into basketball again real quick, but I want to hit our Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. And if you've been following baseball for these past couple of years, going back to his time at LSU, Paul Skeens has been an animal at the major league level. However, yesterday on the mound for the Pirates, had his worst outing of his career so far. Gave up 5 runs, the most of his young pro career. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs. Again, it's a one-game anomaly. He pitched 7 3-hit shutout innings against the Rays in his last outing before that. Only gave up 2 runs in his first outing against the Miami Marlins. He's going to be fine. But his first time getting knocked around a little bit in his pro career. It seems like. And
they snapped the losing skid just from doing research. From what I'm seeing, Skeens look like he's, doing his thing on the mound this season so far.
Like he's a great pitcher. And then last night doesn't worry anybody, but it is kind of like, okay, there's your moment of sometimes just have an off day, and it happens.
Do you think he could be an all-star? The season just started, but do you think he's an all-star caliber player to make the all-star?
He has got the sky's the limit for Paul Skeens. He is every bit as good as he is built to be, and we saw that when his time, at LSU when he played against South Carolina and all that kind of thing, and made the All-Star team last year despite not being on the opening day roster, which did surprise a lot of people. But yeah, he's very good, and again, sprung a leak last night or playing against the Cardinals, but he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
Getting back to the basketball conversation, of course, wild game on Monday night between Florida and Houston for the men's national championship in basketball. Pulled in 18.1 million viewers, marking the highest rated men's college basketball game since the 2021 title game and the most watched since the 2019 game between Virginia and Texas Tech. But I was told this was a boring tournament. I was told that because we didn't have Cinderellas in the first couple rounds, nobody cared anymore. No, we got really good basketball at the very end.
It was really, really, really good basketball from the Final Four. Duke and Houston. I did not see that ending come. I did not see that coming. The way that Sampson coached his team in those final seconds were really good. Florida, I saw your tweet the other day. It was the fact that, Carolina almost beat the national champion Florida at home. And it's the fact that they showed once again their resilience in the national championship to knock off Houston. Technically pulled a Houston trick out of their own book by swarming their star player into taking an ill-advised or wanting to take an ill-advised shot, but didn't get it off. But the fact that these ratings went up and we had amazing Final Four games was phenomenal by the NCAA.
So it begs the question to me, because again, and this is more for the people that don't pay attention to college basketball outside of the month of March, saying Cinderellas are dead and the first 2 rounds are boring and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we didn't have a ton of upsets, but we ended up with a chalk Final Four, which ended up delivering 3 of the best games of the entire tournament. Would you rather have a chaotic first round or a chalk Final Four?
A chaotic first round.
So you would give up having better teams maybe later on?
I think it would be one upset. It wouldn't be many. I personally think in general, it depends upon the year and it depends upon the team on
Okay.
what's going on. But I do want the best of the best to play in the end to give fans something to watch for.
And you can have that balance because,
Yeah.
again, a chaotic first round doesn't always mean 16 beating ones. That's only happened twice before, or even 15s beating twos and stuff like that. But you have a few lower end double digit seeds, 12, 13, 14, something along those lines, pull off some upsets. And again, the ones usually typically win anyway. So you can have both at the end of the day, which I guess in a lot of people's minds, that's probably close to the perfect tournament where you get the chaos and fun of the first couple rounds, and then you also get, hey, now we got all 1 or 2 seeds in the final, the final 4 or the final 8.
Now, if a 15, 16, or a 14 goes to the final 4, would I root for them? Yes, but will they win? I don't know.
Here's the thing: I like Cinderellas up until about the Elite Eight. I gauge it by this: play deep enough to where when you lose, you get a standing ovation coming off the court. Because again, nobody's expecting you to win the whole thing.
Right.
And every game that you win and go deeper, that's more to your story and more to the chaos and all that kind of stuff. But when you eventually get beat by 20 points by a really, really good team that's a top seed, the guys are crying walking off the court, but everyone gives you a standing ovation. We talk about you being the Cinderella team in March and all those kind of things. And it's like, okay, move out of the way, let the 1 seeds or the 2 seeds by to finish this thing out, to give us the level of basketball that we saw on Saturday and Monday, because that's what you want to see in the end. As cool as it is for Cinderellas to make the Final Four, if they're getting bludgeoned by 30 points in that first game on Saturday, it doesn't make it as fun.
That's a fair point. And I think typically most Cinderellas don't make it out of the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 at most. But to see a little bit, like I said, with the balance, I do want to see the best of the best playing in the end. I don't want to see a 20, 30-point blowout to a Cinderella team. But if a Cinderella team does make it far, I'm rooting for them until they, their season is done. But it's just cool to see a mid-major school that does not get a lot of exposure and to have at least one unsung hero on that team be introduced to the world of, basketball fans.
In a funny way, because we didn't have any of those deep Cinderella runs, I think McNeese's manager, Amir Khan, I think he kind of became like the Cinderella figure of March.
Yeah, and now he is being he's going to NC State, so we get to see now.
Which I didn't know we could have managers in the transfer
portal.
I didn't know that was the thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
He's got NIL deals that are more than players on his team.
Now it's like that creates an open door for the March Madness for both the men and women, that anybody could be a narrative for their team, mid-major. For a mid-major school. So
yeah, that's very true. And when McNeese obviously got the win against Clemson, and then Will Wade taking off to NC State and taking Amir Khan with him. So, which by the way, that's not really an NIL deal when it's not a player. That's to me just a brand deal.
And you don't see that often. And we didn't really know who he was until the tournament started. So it was just like
there had been some buzz around him because he was doing the boombox thing coming out of the locker room. So I was aware of who he was for the tournament. But again, McNeese State wasn't playing on national television every night. And again, especially when you win that first round game, that just elevates your popularity even more.
I didn't know a lick of who Amir Khan was. I just knew Amir Khan, the boxer.
yeah, that's the funny thing is when you Google it, you sometimes still end up with him instead. We'll come back and wrap up the hour and the extra point here. Talk a little bit of Scotty Scheffler's Masters dinner menu from last night and what famous chain sit-down restaurant it's reminiscent of. That's coming up next. It is the extra points out ahead Jalen's Hard out at ProSwing here on Forest Drive, going until noon on the game. And welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. We're broadcasting live here at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Tyler Head and Jalen Tart along with you, watching Haley take her attempt at a hole-in-one out of Pebble Beach. She landed, was that 6 feet? Oh, we're getting closer this time. Wow.
Good shot.
Is that the best y'all out of what all of y'all have done so far? No? Okay. Because I was going to say, she's going to jump up there and outdo what both you guys have been doing up to this point. Have fun out here. Again, come by, hang out with us all day today, all day tomorrow, getting you set for the Masters out at Augusta National. And again, I'll remind you that if you come in and play at some point this week at ProSwing, you are going to be entered for a chance to win tickets to go to the final round of the Masters on Sunday. Yes, you could play here at ProSwing and earn yourself a chance to go to the final round of the Masters on Sunday just by coming out here and hanging out, and come in and get some more details on that. That one will be announced on a Friday evening at 5:30 on the postgame show with Jay and Elijah. So, Jalen, there's a lot of tradition around the Masters.
Yeah.
One of the coolest traditions is the Champions Dinner, which is done the night before, like last night. Scotty Scheffler, who won last year, is the guy that gets to pick the menu, as the champion does each and every year. And it's always funny to see which guys go like ultra bougie and ultra fancy, and which guys just try and keep it simple. And I think Scotty Scheffler really went very simple here, because this looks like the menu at Chili's.
I like this. The cheeseburger sliders sounds appetizing. Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. Pecorino cheese, tomato, okay. Texas style chili, okay. The choice of wood-fired cowboy ribeye or blackened redfish. That sounds like something that he would eat like once or twice a week.
Well, like, and you have to have something kind of high end when it comes to the actual entree itself. But like everything else about this, right down to the warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with vanilla bean ice cream.
Yeah.
Again, like I feel like you can go to Chili's and get that, right?
Yeah.
And like again, the cheeseburger sliders, ravioli bites, like that sounds like the triple dipper.
Yeah. I think so too. And I don't eat at Chili's often, but their food is really, really good when I do go. It kind of is like a catering style Chili's type of deal.
But it's funny to me because, and I've talked about this before, Scotty Scheffler is an amazing golfer. He's the number one golfer in the world right now, the favorite to win the Masters once again this year, and wouldn't be surprised if he did that. But like he's not like the most like oozing with personality kind of guy, which unfortunately for golf, he's a harder guy to market around, because outside of being a great golfer, not a whole lot there when he's not getting arrested in Louisville, Kentucky like he did last year. But like this just kind of reaffirms he's just a normal guy that happens to be amazing at golf, because he has the opportunity to request any food he wants. And again, he's going with just your typical fast casual dining type of things.
What would you request?
Oh man, I would honestly, it'd probably be something kind of similar to this.
Okay.
Like nothing crazy, because like here's the thing. Again, we're kind of looking at it from like a Chili's menu perspective, but these are like top chefs in the world that are making this stuff. So it's going to taste phenomenal. Like the best ingredients, best stuff. It's not something that are just going to pop in a microwave or something like that. Like they're going to put the care and the craftsmanship into making those the best cheeseburger sliders you've ever had in your entire life. So like, I feel like I would go with something simple that I know is going to be made even better because of the quality and the craftsmanship behind it.
Me personally, I love soul food.
Okay.
Love it. But I can request a lot of different things. But the one thing, you got to have some mac and cheese in there.
Yeah.
You got to have that mac and cheese in there. You got to have
that and he's got family style mac and cheese as a part
great.
That goes with the main course.
Great. Okay.
Which again, that I doubt that's Kraft mac and cheese, which is good. I love Kraft mac and cheese, but you tell me family style, there's going to be about 5 different cheeses in there. The noodles are going to be fancy, that kind of stuff.
Somebody's going to be upset about this chocolate chip cookie when they want oatmeal.
I mean, but like, can you be upset about it though?
No. You could just get the ice cream by itself, but I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I've never had blackened redfish. That sounds.
Well, I think they always have to give like a fish option for, if you don't want to eat red meat and stuff like that. Because again, there's a lot of people that are eating this, so you have to have a section option there.
If this was me, fish sandwich, flounder.
Okay. Ooh, I like a gourmet filet o fish. Like,
Yeah.
could you imagine how good one of those chefs could make a filet o fish if you gave him the opportunity to do that?
That would be good.
That's the thing is like I'd do like the McDonald's menu,
Okay.
but made by them. Like,
but made by
give me a fancy Big Mac.
Okay.
Give me fancy chicken McNuggets or something like that.
I do like if you give me a fancy Chick-fil-A menu.
Okay.
That would be. I mean, that would be interesting.
Sure. Again, you got a lot of different ways you can go with this.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that he kept it very simple because I feel like that's very relatable because that's something I'd probably do. But if you wanted to go filet mignon and caviar, you could do that too.
Yeah, too. I didn't know that the champion would be able to, to pick the menu. Haven't there been other like crazy food items? Have you seen?
I'm trying. There's been some crazy ones over the years. Again, he won last year, so that's the most recent one. Like Bubba Watson's menu was kind of boring a couple years ago, but it's always interesting to see what they pick, right?
You got Scotty winning.
Yeah, I do.
I got Rory.
Okay, he's finally going to break through and win the thing.
I think he can get it. I think he got a chance to get it.
We'll see what happens come Sunday. That'll do it for the Extra Point. Coming up next, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs live from ProSwing and Forest Acres here on the game. Or the one next to that, sorry. Like 4? Yeah, number 4. I'm looking at this thing.
Pop back up, man.
Yeah, and let's test it.
Hello.
Can you hear Chris?
Can anybody? Can anybody hear me?
All right, test 1, test 1 2, test 1 2. Further back. How about now? Is that better? All right, we are out at ProSwing in Forest Acres. All right, I won't. I promise.
Tyler, don't move. Hello.
Chris is low.
I'm low.
All right.
What?
Yes, he does. Go
Dave,
down to the third one.
Dave, I may not know
The
much,
third
and
little knob.
I do know how
Yeah,
to put
there
a
you go.
headset on. Turn
Yeah.
this up.
Yeah, turn that up. Turn that towards him. Keep going.
Hello. Oh,
There you are.
that's there. I'm here. Dave, how's this sound? Give me a whole sentence. We're out at ProSwing. Hello. Can you hear me well?
Down.
Over
This
modulating.
thing is
We're
so
going over modulate.
finicky.
All right, I'm here again. I'm turning it about to where, not where Tyler's is. Yeah, actually, yeah. This is where Tyler's level is, and the other one.
Up a little more.
bit more.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay. We're not allowed to get excited over the next hour or the levels will be off.
All right.
So we need to be
No
monotone.
worries there.
We're going to go Heath Klein for the next hour.
Are we good for next week?
Yeah, we should be.
All right, cool.
Good stuff,
I'll
man.
leave,
Thanks
Tyler.
for coming out.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
I got to move the camera. Can y'all like sit on either corner of these couches?
I'm gonna
So I
put,
can
yeah,
go
hold
from
on.
the shot. Huh? It needs to be tested for you.
Huh?
Test it for you.
Listen for your unique voice.
Hey, Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you doing today? Dave.
Down.
Down, Wes.
You should be the first one, I think, on the far left.
It should be this one, right? We do input or local?
Input.
Oh, yeah, it's way up. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, Dave. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Josh Yeoman sucks at golf. That's good.
That's right.
He got engaged?
Let's do a segment with him about his engagement.
So how do you think it went? Did you execute?
How you've outkicked his coverage.
Were you worried?
Yeah. Did she hesitate before she said yes? These are all questions we need answers to.
The people want to know.
She regretting her decision already?
Oh.
She almost got it a minute ago.
She's been doing better than Josh.
Well, that's not hard. I don't
Can't
need
hear
to. You're not breaking a sweat, so how good can you?
I found this on TikTok.
11 o'clock. Welcome in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris, we are still out here at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Going to be hanging out here all day today, all day tomorrow, getting you set for the Masters out at Augusta National. We've been watching Josh and Chris and Haley take swings. Clearly, Haley's doing the best, Chris second best, and Josh obviously the worst out of everyone so far.
Obviously.
He's not breaking a sweat, so how hard can he be working?
He is turning a little red in the face right now.
Because I'm embarrassing him on radio. That's why.
We're
Thanks for actually showing up, by the way, Josh.
Man, that's what everyone else should do, though. Show up.
Show up.
Hang out.
By the way, if you show up and you play this week, you have a chance to win tickets to Masters Sunday. You could play at ProSwing and be on your way to Augusta National come Sunday for the final round. You can stay on the 18th hole watching somebody put on a green jacket by the end of this week. How crazy is that?
It's a good deal.
I mean,
pretty darn good deal.
Our guys here do not do anything half. You know what? Like it is all the way or no way at all. So I'm not even shocked by that they're giving away a chance to go to Augusta.
Not at all. And again, you can come here, work on your swing, perfect it, play it pretty much any course in the world. You guys playing at Pebble Beach, trying to nail that hole in one. Okay, Haley's getting closer as we're watching now. We got a loose ball.
I can't get it. Sorry.
She was worried about ripping the screen by hitting it too hard. I assure you, you're not gonna rip the screen.
No. Oh, there's some guys that come in here that can just rip it.
And when you come in here the first time, you got to get used to the sound of just the whipping constantly of hitting the golf ball. And after you're here for about 10, 15 minutes, you kind of settle in and get used to it. But it does kind of make you jump the first couple times that you hear it. But excited to be out here as always. Again, hanging out here all day and all day today and all day tomorrow, getting you set for the Masters as Scotty Scheffler looking to back up his crown from a year ago. We ran through his Masters Champions dinner menu from last night. Very Chili's-esque, very simple, but I feel like that's kind of on brand with who Scotty Scheffler is.
I heard y'all talking about it earlier too, and I looked at it. I mean, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
all of it. They had the was it the brownie or the cookie? Like
it was the skillet cookie with ice cream. Oh, no, the loose ball.
Either would be good, but skillet cookie with ice cream.
It's hard to beat.
One of the best foods known to man.
Yeah,
very healthy.
And look, at my point,
nutritious.
While this food seems simple, it's being made by like world-class chefs. So as it's good anyway, it's gonna be even better when they make it.
Yes.
So
got the sliders going. I mean, it's perfect.
The skillet cookie, though, the little kind of crust that develops on the outside, but then it's pretty much undercooked in a good way on the inside. And then you throw maybe some syrup on top with the ice cream. I mean,
I'm hungry now.
Special.
Will there be do they do photos of the spread itself? I don't think they do.
That's a good question. I know they have the photo of all of them together at the dinner, but I don't know if we have like a plate photo.
We need food pictures.
You feel like as a Masters champion, that's what you put on your Instagram, right? Like, hey, here's my Masters dinner.
Should. No phones
Probably
allowed,
should.
Though.
At dinner though, no phones allowed on the course. Which
Yeah,
I do think it's cool that they still hold that tradition. That if you want to call someone to get on a payphone and you actually get to enjoy escaping the world for a little bit. But again, we'll talk more Masters as the as the week rolls along. We're in the midst of spring football practice. Yesterday, we heard from Coach Beamer once again, touching on a number of things, but of course, big news this week in reference to Monday. And we talked about this yesterday with Jeremy Smith from the Garnet Trust in reference to the House settlement with the NCAA. And Dave, if we can cue up cut number 9 here. Coach Beamer gave his take on how much attention he's paying to what's going on this week when it comes to that House settlement.
I was watching more live from the Masters on the Golf Channel yesterday than I was keeping up with the settlement stuff while I was doing my work. I wasn't completely tuned into the live from the Masters on the Golf Channel, but I had it on the television in my office. I didn't really. I kind of know a general idea of what took place yesterday. Coach Tanner came out to practice today. It was great to see him come out today and hang out a little bit as a spectator. And he was kind of catching me up on some things that he had read and heard and whatnot. But general idea of Hale, I know other people in our athletic department and in our program were meeting yesterday and talking about it and getting updates and things like that. But for us, it's, we have a plan. There's kind of a plan A if this happens and it happens at this time, plan B if this happens and it happens at this time, and then plan C if none of it goes as we expect. And we're ready for all of it and just kind of taking it day by day.
And again, what's going to happen when this thing finally does settle and we can get proper revenue sharing rolling is vitally important to every sports program across college sports, specifically college football. But, you hear Beamer talk about that. Several of the coaches, they're just ready for something to happen. Like, again, they know what the deal is. They just want it to be put in place so they know what they need to do and the next steps from there. So, yes, I'm not surprised that he was more invested in live from the Masters as opposed to what was happening on Monday when it came to the court hearing.
Well, I think they want to know, hey, what are the details of this thing too? Like, are there going to be any final tweaks or changes to it? And in particular, I think you not only want something to go through, you want something to go through that can actually stick for a little while and not change within, the career of a particular player. And you'd like to actually have a little semblance of, hey, here's the rules and here's how everybody's going to go about playing by the rules for at least a little while. And, I still think the most fascinating part of this, or the part that's going to be picked apart the most, is the part about quote unquote real NIL. And for one, who is to say what that even means? And I know that the definition of it is like true market value. And, you in theory, you can't pay a guy $1 million to make a post about your car dealership. However, where do you draw the line, and who's to say if someone personally puts that value on a particular player's post or appearance or whatever, then who's to say that it doesn't have that value?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the part of this that is most up in the air to me. Like, even if it goes through, how quickly are we right back in our court system?
Immediately. I mean, if this thing goes through, you're going to get some immediate court challenges. There are lawyers, literally. I mean, I've heard this. There are lawyers with lawsuits like typed up, ready to go,
in hand,
and ready to file as the moment that this thing drops. There will be other challenges down the road, like you said, Wes. The whole fair market value thing. For a long time, and you could say, well, there's an exception here, yes, but generally the way that things work in this country has always been, the market value is what somebody is willing to pay, right? And so without a collective bargaining structure, we don't have that right now. I think we need it, or something similar to it, where both sides come to the table. You have a settlement and you have a judge deciding to approve the settlement that says, hey, this booster, this organization, whatever, can't pay a player $200,000 to come sing happy birthday at their party or whatever, Now, in the past, there's nothing really that's prohibited that. So there will be some legal challenges in lots of different ways. Josh just missed.
Oh, man.
He missed it by about 6 inches.
Wow.
If that.
Man. So close.
So that's one aspect. But here's one, guys, that I think.
Okay, maybe Josh doesn't suck as bad as I said he did.
No, Josh's been killing it. here's something that I think Shane Beamer is probably thinking about. You've got kind of like athletic directors thinking of things. You've got coaches thinking of things. You've got people who run collectives thinking of things. For coaches, did you guys see the other day that now the roster limits have kind of been called into question, right?
Yep.
That was a big point where, hey, we're going to cut things down to 105. You could, if you want to have 105 scholarships, cool. We know the SEC is going to stay at 85 for now. So coaches have been preparing for what is life going to look like when I have to trim 15 players off my roster. Now, Claudia Wilkin, the judge, has kind of pushed back and said that maybe doesn't sound so good to me. So do roster limits go away? Do you what happens with the scholarships? There's lots of questions there too.
And there's also, because they were talking about changing the language and kind of grandfathering in guys that are currently on these rosters that, instead of just cutting them tomorrow and saying, hey, sorry, you don't have a spot anymore, allowing them to roll out or finish out their tenure. Yeah, matriculate out in time. So it's like, okay, now you're talking about that not only happening this year, but over the course of the next couple of years, potentially, if you're grandfathering these guys in by having spots on the roster. So what does that mean? How does that change things? So there's a lot of hoops to jump through to finally settle this thing in the way that we think of it as being over and shut with and moving on to revenue sharing, becoming the new reality of college sports.
Well, by the time those guys were all off your roster, we may be talking about a completely different structure again. I mean, college athletics has been in such flux recently that you can't really lock into any one certain way of doing things. And I think, speaking of the roster limit thing, it's going to be fascinating. Even if that does completely go through, how do the different conferences actually decide to sort of enforce that? And, as of right now, or at least as of last month, the SEC was planning to stay with 85. And I think there is a sense that maybe because the SEC typically does set the standards in the sport, that maybe other conferences would follow. And that has not been the case. I've actually heard of ACC schools that have already been sort of in anticipation for this, basically accepting players with the thought process that they would be scholarship 86, 87, 88, 89. So if that part falls through, not just the walk-ons that were on your team that would have been up into the 100s as teams carry right now, but what happens to the guys that were kind of promised spots in anticipation of this happening at other schools? Again, the SEC has said, no, we're staying 85, but that's not the case with the ACC. So there's still a lot to sort through here, I think.
You mentioned the word enforcement in terms of scholarships, but I think you also think about in this, evolving new world, it's kind of almost slipped under the radar a little bit, and it's maybe not tied in directly with the House settlement, but remember Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports had a great piece about this late in February, and it's kind of gotten lost that, there's apparently this new enforcement arm, and it's going to be an LLC, and it's going to be run by somebody who's very shadowy, which doesn't seem to be a good idea to me, but whatever. Some people have been read into what it looks like, and supposedly penalties for things like, violating the new NIL rules or tampering with players who are not just on a team, but under contract, are apparently going to include, coach suspensions, fines, taking money from your revenue cap. Would that work? Because if so, that might help solve some of these problems that we've had. To me, I'm pro transfer, pro NIL, all those things within reason. But the fact that you have guys on a team who are being talked to, they're under contract with like a collective or whatever, and they're being tampered with, does seem a little silly to me, because that can't happen, at the pro level.
Sure.
Again, I think we need bargaining to solve all this, but there's just a lot of different moving parts to this. And the one thing that I think you can take away is nobody really truly knows what's going to happen. They don't know if the settlement's going to be approved like it is, and they really don't know what's on the other side of that. You can kind of guess, you can have contingencies, you can have plans, but everybody's in the same boat with what's going to happen here.
Well, we're still waiting on the final details of that to be nailed down. We do know one thing: the transfer portal is set to open here coming up in a couple days. The spring practice is wrapping up for most programs around the country, and Coach Beamer and his staff going to have some honest conversations with guys as they wrap up spring practice on where they stand. And imagine some guys are probably going to want to hop in the portal because of that. We'll dive into what Coach Beamer had to say about those honest conversations coming up next as we roll along. Again, we're live from ProSwing out here in Forest Acres today and tomorrow, going all the way until 6 o'clock here on the game. Test 1, 2. We're live at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Still off. Hot. Bring it down a little more. We're live at ProSwing. Live at ProSwing. Live at ProSwing. Live at ProSwing. That's good. Okay.
All right, everyone. Little chilly today, but overall temperatures have been creeping back up, and so you need to make sure that your home's HVAC system is running at peak performance. If you're looking for a reliable company to come take a look at your system, or if you're thinking, hey, my system's pretty old, it's outright broken, I need an entirely new system, you need to call our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating. A slew of 5-star Google reviews online, and there's a reason for that. I'm one of them. They've been to my home. They've been to my family's home out in Irmo. Krantz Cooling has been proudly serving the Midlands as a family-owned and operated business for over 30 years, since 1983. If you need financing, Krantz has you covered. Special financing for up to 60 months on qualified equipment with credit approval, air conditioning, heating, maintenance, or indoor air quality products. Justin Krantz and his team has you covered. KrantzCooling.com. That's Krantz with a K. Or 803-672-3224, KrantzCooling.com.
We're live at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Is this level good? Come up a little bit? Okay. Just barely. All right. We're live at ProSwing in Forest Acres. All right, that'll work. I'll try not to get excited or have any emotion at all. I won't be excited. I won't laugh. I won't do anything. I don't know. Every headset's different.
Ours are like this, and that one's like...
I don't know. We got some Hanson. Old school.
One hit wonder.
My sister is the biggest Hanson fan. They have their own beer now. It's called Pops.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. I'm not kidding.
Talk about it. I hope they save their money.
They're not blonde anymore either. They have like dark hair now.
Oh, what are they?
Now they gotta be in their, or the oldest one gotta be in his like 40s by now, right? Yeah, probably, I don't know, early 30s. Who are you talking about? I have no clue. What's he talking about? Oh, no. It's just stupid people on Twitter.
Quite a short-lived time together. Net worth of $60 million.
What's that?
Despite their short-lived time together, the group went on to amass a net worth of $60 million.
Hey, cash in while you can.
Bob,
Yeah.
carried them a long way.
I'm sure it ended up in a bunch of movies and stuff. I'm gonna call for cut 12 here, Dave. Speaking of one-hit wonders, the Lost Lonely Boys.
That's all you need.
Well, welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris hanging out here. Schroeder's Towing Roadshow out at ProSwing in Forest Acres. Can be here all day today and all day tomorrow, going up until 6 o'clock, getting you set for the Masters out there at Augusta National. Chris, how was your commercial break session?
The test as to whether or not you've hit a good shot is if they give you like the flyover view.
Okay.
You know, it's like they do the golf clap, and then they, you know, you're like in range, you know, of hitting a decent shot. I got that on 1 out of about, I don't know, 10 or so.
Anybody put it in the water yet?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times. I keep hitting it. I've actually hit it somewhat straight, but like kind of to the left.
Okay.
And I can't really
now
really
are you
solve that.
Are you analyzing your swing dynamics to improve on them?
I don't really know what to make of them.
Okay.
Like I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I barely hit it, and then I don't know how to fix it.
We need
But
to get you a coaching session.
I did put yes.
I was gonna say there's a sign outside that
Yes.
says you can get a swing analysis if you come in. So.
Yes, I need to get that. I did hit it on the green once.
There's gonna be like,
So I'm
it's
happy.
all wrong. Just completely redo everything.
Sir,
you're
you're
doing.
not. No, they will not tell you that you are too far gone. They can help.
Again, having a good time out here at Pro Swing in Forest Acres all day long today and all day long tomorrow. Getting you set for the Masters out there at Augusta National. Continuing our conversation about Beamer's conversation with the media yesterday. And of course, as spring practice comes to a close, portal getting set to open up. Obviously, Wendell Gregory announced he was going in last week. So you've already lost one player in the spring window so far. And when you have these exit interviews, whatever you want to call them, as spring wraps up, kind of giving the guys the lay of the land of where they stand. And look, there are going to be some guys that are going to be told, hey, you're not seen as somebody that's going to be on the field a lot this fall. And for them, they're going to decide to go in the transfer portal and seek, playing time elsewhere where they can find their way onto the field. And it is important to be honest with these guys with these conversations to know where they stand. And cut 12, number 12 here, Dave. This is Coach Beamer talking about having those honest conversations with guys as spring practice wraps up.
Yeah, I think I know I'll be like I always have. I've tried to always be transparent with our players after spring practice about where they stand. And this year will be no different, letting guys know, where they stand. And there's every player on our team I would love to have back, but there's some guys that may look and say right now, coming out of spring, there's a lot of guys above me on the depth chart, and it's a uphill battle, and they want a fresh start somewhere else where they can play. I mean, that's great. That's happened in the past, and I'll help guys go wherever, from that standpoint. But I wouldn't say it changes my conversations with them in any way. It's continuing to just be transparent and honest with guys, and there should be no gray area about where they stand and why they're in that role right now either.
And through the winter portal cycle, and again, Wendell Gregory obviously announcing he's going to go in when the spring portal opens up, all the transfers they've had so far qualify under what Wes has coined as the healthy transfers, where you look at what those guys have done here at South Carolina, and it's not a ton of high-level production. Some guys, some snaps here and there, but nobody that you say, oh, my God, how are we going to be able to replace that guy? Depth is something that you certainly are concerned about, that you don't want to lose in mass with this portal window opening up. But there's probably going to be a handful of guys that, again, are not pleased with the assessment they have coming out of spring, that are going to go pursue playing time somewhere else, that hopefully all fall in line once again with being healthy transfers that you can Not that you can afford to lose anyone, but you feel more okay with losing those guys compared to others.
Yeah, that's always the hope. And as we always talk about, all transfers are not created equal, and some guys just want to go play. And if they're not in a position to, where they're projected to play a lot this year for their current team, you're going to see them enter the portal, and everybody shakes hands and moves on, and everybody's happy. I think the interesting thing for fans will be, all right, who can South Carolina add? And Beamer, was not too specific about that, more just given what has been his line a lot of times, Chris, which was basically, hey, we're always looking to upgrade the team. And I will say this, I think at this point in the process, though, meaning the spring portal window, yes, you can still go find guys, but you don't want to be in a position where you feel like you are having to build your team in the spring portal window. Like this is kind of putting the finishing touches, putting the final tweaks on a roster. I saw an ESPN.com article. It said the spring portal market last year did yield 12 players who earned all conference honors last season, a dozen more who picked up honorable mention all conference recognition. There were some high profile guys that made the move and then had big years. But a total of 165 spring transfers last year, which is 57% of them, ended up playing fewer snaps than they did the previous season. And let's see, among the 68 Group of 5 players who transferred to Power 4 rosters, 74% saw less playing time in 2024, and half of them did not start a game for their new team. So obviously, when there's a jump from Group of 5 to Power 4, some of them it's not going to work out. But I do think when you look at kind of that disadvantage of not having the spring practice to go through with your new team, Delvon Campbell, for example, made several huge plays for South Carolina last season, but did Delvon Campbell make the overall impact in terms of coming right in and being a starter and being the guy I think a lot of people were hoping he could be? You would probably argue no. So I think spring portal window, if you're South Carolina, you're hoping. In particular, I think we all know, can you add a defensive tackle who can come in and be an impact guy for you? Maybe easier said than done, to be honest, in terms of just finding the right guy, then being able to get him, and then that player being able to come in and have everything you need to make that very, very quick impact.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like the condensed windows a lot in the portal. This spring portal window is 10 days. Now, that's 10 days to get in. That doesn't mean, you got to move your stuff to that school within that 10-day window, right? But it is overall a shorter window. Schools are now at the point where their rosters are more filled out than they were in December, right? That there's more activity. It's a longer portal window. So now anybody who jumps in the portal, let's use your example, Wes, a big time defensive tackle. Okay, yeah, South Carolina needs that. Guess who else is going to want that?
Everybody.
Anybody, especially those and there's going to be big name schools, who want somebody like that. Even as a starter. So you're going to have big competition. You're going to command huge NIL premiums for those guys, which then leads to another decision on budgeting and things of that nature. And then, of course, the kid himself, most important thing, he has to make a decision on where he goes. So Carolina has netted some guys like Campbell. Vandrevius Jacobs was another guy who they got in the last spring portal window. There's going to be some spots, D-tackle. Does Carolina look more than we anticipated at edge because Gregory transferred? Wasn't going to be a huge impact player, but a depth guy. Beamer talked about this yesterday. Jaylen Brown out for the spring at least. They want more depth there. Beamer doesn't feel very good about that from what he said. Joe D even mentioned special teams. Where else are you looking? I think they will maybe be a little bit more active than originally thought at certain spots. D-tackle is obvious.
Yeah, D-tackle.
We know that one.
Number 1, 2, and 3 priority, I think, this offseason in terms of that spring window. Do they take a wide receiver or not? I think the fact is there's been a lot of positive just buzz about these freshman guys that have come in. There's been a lot of positive returns we've heard on the guys that have returned at wide receiver, taking another step forward. Do you go out and go get a wide receiver, or do you just say, look, we got our guys in the room, we trust this, We're going to put all of our energy into developing them. You obviously feel good about Mike Furry and his job developing those guys. I think that one will be a little bit kind of fascinating. I imagine it'll be sort of like what we saw in the previous window. If the right guy just pops up and you say, hey, this makes a lot of sense, maybe you make a run. If the right guy doesn't pop up, I don't see them reaching at wide receiver just because it has been a good spring for all those guys.
Yeah, he said if we find somebody that makes our team better, we'll go out there and get them. If not, then we won't. So again, we'll see what they do when the portal opens up here very, very soon. We'll continue on from ProSwing here in Forest Acres as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along on your Wednesday here on the game.
All right, everyone, we're out here at ProSwing on Forest Drive in Forest Acres, and right behind me, actually all around me, I've got an outstanding array of technology. Right behind my head, I've got, I think, the 98-inch big screen TV. TVs all around. Got Josh Yeldman out here hitting golf balls on the world's best golf simulator, in my opinion. The guys who put this together here at ProSwing also are the same guys from Integrated Media, and they can help you out with any of your home or businesses audio-visual needs, whether it's something like mounting a TV, mounting a 98-inch TV, making your home into a smart home, or making sure that your Wi-Fi is all set up. They can do it for you. IntegratedMediaInc.com, or give them a call, 803-948-8327. You don't have to use the big box stores. They can source the equipment for you and come install it at your home. They've been to mine. They've been to Wes's. They can come to yours. IntegratedMediaInc.com.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris along with you here again at ProSwing here in Forest Acres. The whole 107.5 Game crew broadcasting live until 6 p.m. today and tomorrow, getting you set for the Masters out there at Augusta National. Also want to remind you about the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Gave away $450 this morning after Dalton Mayshore hit his first inning Grand Slam last night for the Gamecocks. So the pot goes back down to $25 starting with tomorrow night's game. Taking on Texas A&M Mountain College Station will go up by 25 each and every game until hopefully another Grand Slam gets hit at some point this season. We've already given away a lot of money, and we're only halfway through the season so far. Transitioning over to women's basketball, of course, still a tough loss on Sunday to what was undoubtedly the better team in UConn out there in Tampa. And Dawn didn't waste any time talking about the transfer portal after the game, took some questions about it of what they were looking for and what they were going to do in terms of being active. And, you know, in terms of going out there and finding a difference maker in the portal, they wasted no time in Tania Latson from Florida State coming over, joining South Carolina. She just happens to be the leading scorer in the entire nation, averaging 25.2 points per game. For a team that is looking to upgrade themselves on offense, I can't think of a better ad than what Latson brings to the table here.
Yeah, this is a blue blood type ad right here, right? Like, much like to me, it reminds me a little bit. Remember when South Carolina went out and just took Winston Gandy from Duke as a coach, and it was like, hey, this guy's one of the best assistants in the country. He's already at a place like Duke, and South Carolina just said, "Nah, man, come on over. You'll be in a better spot here." And then what happens? He gets a head job in a couple of years. Well, this was just South Carolina going out and getting what ESPN.com has as the number one available player in the transfer portal. And, you know, just in terms of adding a scorer, someone that already fits within your program, you would think, just in terms of her connection with Raven Johnson. Obviously, some of the other big news from yesterday was Raven Johnson announces her return. You got to imagine those two things maybe coincided with each other. And we knew with South Carolina losing Pau, not that it is a direct kind of one-to-one here, but that they would be looking for a veteran guard who could score the basketball. And, I mean, I don't know. Clearly, ESPN doesn't think you could do any better than this addition. And, you know, I think as you see South Carolina kind of building out their roster, most of the pieces are already in place. There were some rumors about, you know, a possible transfer. That's been put to bed as well. Sakima Walker, the only kind of known transfer right now, she'll probably go somewhere, possibly even with Gandy, where she can go play a lot more, I would imagine. And, guys, you can kind of look and see the final missing piece going out and getting a big to come in and sort of be that rim protector and somebody to possibly run the offense through at times that we know Dawn Staley loves to have. And, you know, lots of rumblings that they're going to have success doing that here pretty soon as well. And we'll probably close out this class, I would imagine, by the end of the week, just in terms of going out and adding the two major transfer pieces that they need.
Well, a lot of times you go into an off season saying, and this can be across multiple sports, you know, we need to have a big transfer year. You know, you got to go out and get some difference makers in the portal, right? And those can help turn around your fortunes. But this team doesn't need to turn around its fortunes. They just made it to the national title game, right? And so the question becomes, okay, do you lose anybody? Because we know Dawn Staley has a roster that's very deep, very talented. She has a lot of players that anybody in the country would love to have and would love to have as a starter, really. And so, like you said, Wes, there were the rumors and things like that, and some decisions, frankly, that probably needed to be made by players. And not only has she kept Sakina Walker is going to move on, of course, but in terms of the difference makers from last year's team who could come back, they're coming back, you know? And unless something drastically changes, they're going to have all those girls back. Then you go out and say, what are the two biggest needs? Well, you need some scoring. Here comes the nation's leading scorer, someone who, you know, can also distribute the basketball. You know, you go through pretty good assist numbers, had 10 assists in a game this year, can rebound the basketball for a guard, is very quick, can get to the bucket, can shoot from outside, kind of streaky as a shooter, but she had to be kind of a volume shooter for Florida State.
Yeah.
She could have a lot more help around her. And so, like you said, Wes, you add that piece in, returning everybody that you already have, and then if you can add in that big, which will happen, I think is safe to say, from somewhere, you really start seeing this thing come together, and you feel like there's going to be no fall off, and this, who knows, this team could be even better next year.
Yeah, and you're also going to have the development of the players that you do have on the roster continuing to evolve and get better. And again, Joyce Edwards had a phenomenal freshman season, a little up and down when it came to the NCAA tournament, but she's only going to continue to take steps forward. Malaysia Fulwiley going to year number 3. Can she be more consistent? Is she going to factor into the starting lineup? Like, so many of these players that are already performing well are going to continue to get better. And again, you're going to have a team that is already the odds-on favorite to win next year's national championship, be in the mix to do that again next year as well.
Well, and UConn will obviously be back again. They'll have Sarah Strong back, but they are losing some of those major pieces that help them, kind of that three-headed monster. They won't have that three-headed monster next year. And we'll see what South Carolina ends up kind of being, how this all just melds together. But you got to like what they are putting together on paper. And I don't know if we can downplay the fact that now you're coming off the taste of defeat versus coming off a celebration. I mean, I remember when we had Dawn Staley on this show live at CLA, and she kind of indicated, hey, maybe the girls didn't quite work as hard, didn't quite get back in the gym quite as quickly this offseason as maybe they did the prior offseason. And how often do we see it in sports? It is so hard to repeat because there's just, that little extra grind in the offseason is maybe not there when you're coming off of a championship versus coming off tasting, being right there. So now you kind of get the reverse of that. You have hey, we were right there, but we got smoked on national TV. How does that affect their mindset going into this offseason?
Not just championship season, a perfect season at that. Like, you were unblemished the entire year. So,
yes.
Yeah, hey, we know what we're doing. We're pretty darn good. I could see that factoring into last offseason. And
human nature.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not the reason why they lost the national championship game, but you're a little more motivated going into this one because you came up short and you had a couple of stumbles this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that Dawn's typically been, pretty good at. We talked before the national title game about how she's been pretty good in, quote unquote, revenge games. And, that didn't work out this time. It's not going to work out every time. UConn was just that night the better team. I think this season they were just the better team, the way they were constructed, their shooting ability, their experience, star power. South Carolina has all that too, right? But UConn just had it a little bit more this year. Maybe next year they don't. In years past, they haven't either. Each year kind of stands on its own. But Dawn has typically been quite good in those scenarios at keeping your team motivated or using some slights or using some some motivating factors. And I have no doubt that the way this year ended will be one of those, for her staff, and for this team. And look, I think it says a lot that, again, they lost in the national title game. It's not like they had a poor season where you would expect people to leave, but I think it says a lot that so many of them, all of them basically, have said, we want to run it back and we want to go finish this thing.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll see what they're able to do. Again, looking for one more piece to add in the transfer portal, which I imagine will be coming very, very soon. You guys ever eaten raccoon before?
I cannot say I have.
No. Well, Xavier Leggette's going to tell us up next how to prepare it if we do want to eat it. As we wrap up things here for our portion of the show, at ProSwing in Forest Acres, Terry taking over for a halftime show coming up at noon, taking it up until 3. We're out here all day long as a crew at 107.5 The Game. And welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you for a few more minutes here. Hanging out at ProSwing in Forest Acres, getting you set for Masters weekend. Watching some of the practice stuff going on right now as things get rolling out there. Should be a good weekend weather-wise. Now that the rain's kind of pushed through. And again, everybody gets set for their Masters Sunday nap as they're making their way through the front nine, or the back nine, I guess, and see who's going to be wearing the green jacket on Sunday.
We'll see. I have no analysis. I don't know a lot about golf. It's
just fun to watch.
Anybody who's been in here has seen, but it is
maybe get a couple guys within 3 or 4 strokes as you head into the back nine and get a little drama down the stretch. And,
yeah, I mean, I love watching it.
It's fun.
I just can't analyze it for you.
It's fun
Not at all.
But you know what else is fun? Apparently cooking raccoon to our guy Xavier Leggett. And if you haven't seen the clip already, cut number 23 here, Ed. Here is our guy X breaking down exactly how to skin and cook a raccoon.
I know that you eat raccoon, so if I wanted a perfect raccoon meal, take me from start to finish, what do I gotta do?
For yourself, right? First you need to go in the woods. You gotta have some coon dogs that's trained to go. Once you pass that, boy, you just skin them. You cut a hole about the size of your pinky down behind the back of his head. Pull a dang on, what can I say? A leg sleeve on the legs. You know what I'm saying? Pull it just like that. And once you do that, man, you just cut a hole right across the chest. Just take your 2 fingers, pull the guts and everything out of them, strip them out. And then after that, man, you just wash them out, put them in a pressure cooker, let the meat fall out the bone. After that, it's going to be like chopped up meat. And after that, man, you just put some red peppers on. We got our little own thing of seasoning that we mix up, man. We can't give y'all everything now.
I was about to say, what type of seasoning we put?
Man, it's a little bit of everything, man. But you got to put some spices on it, some herbs, and then that'll be the way to make the best come.
New philosophy in life. Be as excited about everything as Xavier Leggett is talking about cooking raccoon.
Wild game.
Of
any sort.
Or riding horses. He's one of a kind, man. I tell you what.
I was fascinated by, I kept waiting for him to say, how it was cooked and how it was seasoned.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. So he didn't give away the secret spice blend, which is fine. But he did mention curry peppers.
Yes.
Which I did not anticipate for a raccoon.
I'm just still amazed how much he's gone just national.
Yeah.
Like we had him here in our bubble, and now he's just gone.
So, and I was talking about this
international.
And I was talking about this with Preston when we had him at Firehouse. That was before the Clemson game in his last year here. And he was great with us, and we talked about a number of things, but he had not completely come out of his shell. Right. And I'm assuming he worked with some media people leading up to the draft and stuff like that, because now he's been in the league. He's doing every podcast. He's being interviewed on TV constantly. Like, he is so open about being himself, and people love it. He's an authentic guy, and people love that about him. And he's definitely unique compared to some other guys in the league. And again, every time he pops up on something, I'm always interested to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. And I think, it's good to see him having that success, obviously, and just kind of being able to let people get to know him a little bit. I mean, I remember thinking he opened up a little bit more when we had him on than he had before in, press conferences. He was not a man of many words at all. So
right.
This is and I think this is just more about, these are things he's passionate about, whether it's riding horses or, as Chris said, wild game and stuff like that. And, that's also what makes sports interesting, is that you do get to kind of see the personalities and just the unique things about the various players off the field or off the court.
I think two thoughts that come to mind. Number one, we need to get Xavier back on the show.
Yes.
In some form or fashion. He can come in, he can call in, whatever he wants to do.
While he's riding a horse.
Open invitation. Missed opportunity if they don't do, they being like him and his people, Xavier Leggett cookbook.
Yes, please.
Game. Squirrel,
raccoon.
Talk about how to dress it, field dress a raccoon, field dress a squirrel, and then, maybe
that could be a Gamecock Central joint.
Ooh, joint venture.
And the whole textbook should be written in talk to text, where it's just translating exactly what he says.
You get an audio version.
Straight to the page.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I could. By the way,
yeah,
I caught you. You liked how he said herbs.
Well, I liked how he said everything.
Yeah,
but
everything.
That was a particularly curry peppers. I'm not going to try to do the all out.
Yeah. Rattler did a pretty good. Leggett.
Rattler had what? Dow Loggins had one. That
Dow Loggins was good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I imagine there's a lot of Panthers that have their own take on how X talks now.
Yes, for sure. By the way, guys, different subject, but before we get out of here, let's give shout outs. Dude, it's been a big week for the Gamecock Central crew. So, first of all, shout out to our guy, Griffin Goodwin. Happy birthday to him.
Hey,
shout out to Kendall Smith, who made her debut as a sideline reporter on SEC Network Plus for South Carolina baseball. That was her first time. She does sideline reporting already for the Checkers and the Knights, but that was her first time getting to do South Carolina baseball. Shout out to her. And then, of course, shout out to our guy, Mike Uva, who is now engaged. He tricked Brooke into saying yes, and just shout out to her as well. Shout out to both those guys.
She hasn't changed her mind yet.
Yeah, it's and it's out there too. It's not a silent commitment. It's out there.
So shout out her national letter of intent.
Shout out to Mike and Brooke. Happy for those two, and congrats as well.
Absolutely. Great week for the Gamecock Central crew. That'll do it for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show with Terry Ford coming up next here on your Wednesday on the Game.